Hi everyone, and a very warm welcome to this session today. We're on day 5 of our session, which is basically the last day. Ours is going to be a slightly different protocol today. So traditionally, for the past 4 days, what we've been doing is we cover the knowledge aspect first, and then we just do the questions together. Today, because each other assignment is going to be different, we're just going to cover one assignment, do a question, cover another assignment, do a question, and so on and so forth. So keeping all of that in mind, I'm just going to jump into it. Right, so just scrolling down for a second. Like I said, we've covered most of the syllabus. In some exams, other assignments, the area that we're testing today, could come up for up to 15 to 20 marks. In some exam attempts, it might only be there for 6-7 marks. So unlike planning, procedures, and reporting, there is no absolutely specified or specific trend for this at all. Just one element that I need you to be very comfortable with, whichever notes that you're preparing from, please remember whenever other assignments are tested, they are always a mix of scenario-based and discussion-based testing. So for example, with due diligence, if she asks you to describe the procedures for the given scenario, she will definitely ask you some version of knowledge-based testing, like advantages of getting a firm to do it, or difference between due diligence, external audit, or factors to consider before I accept such an engagement, etc. So please make sure whichever set of notes or textbook you're preparing from, just be very aware that along with scenario-based testing, you should be prepared for easy marks for knowledge-based testing as well. So keeping all of this in mind, I'm first going to give you an overview of your entire syllabus with regards to other assignments, and then we'll talk about how we're going to do this one by one. So we'll be covering 3 assignments today: prospective financial information, due diligence, and audit of performance information in public sector. So the examiner has been very specific that as AAA students, you need to be comfortable with what you're doing. Remember from your earlier studies, assurance engagement is any engagement where there are 5 elements. So work has already been done. Please understand that. The work has already been done. As a practitioner, you're going to give assurance on the subject matter by matching it to suitable criteria and make a report and give it to the intended user. So if you remember, the very first topic of AA was the 5 elements of assurance engagements. Now, if we talk about the AAA syllabus, you could be giving assurance on historical financial information. So information of the past, which is financial. We need to be very clear on what we're talking about. In regards to these assurance engagements, we've been covering the first one. So external audit is a reasonable assurance engagement where we're going to be doing a lot of work and giving assurance at a higher level on historical financial information. And whatever we did in AAA was covered by international standards on auditing. Instead of reasonable assurance, you could also be giving limited assurance on historical financial information. So for example, in the AAA exam, you could be asked to discuss procedures that you have to perform on interim financial statements. So the client has published financial statements for 6 months. They want to put it on their website and they want you to do a review. So review is a limited assurance engagement with a lesser level of assurance with primarily analytical procedures and inquiry. So your first other assignment, and this is basically regulated by international standards on review engagements, is this one. This has not been tested for a very long time. If it comes up, it doesn't come up for very many marks. But you should be comfortable with the fact that this is a limited assurance engagement. There is no control testing. Detailed substantive testing will only be done if problems are found after analytical procedures and inquiry. You could also be asked to give assurance on other information. So past financial information is one category, and then there are other areas that you could be asked to give assurance on. All of these are regulated by something called International Standards on Assurance Engagements other than audit and review. So remember, audit is covered by ISA, review is covered by ISREs, and ISAs other than audit and review cover the rest of the engagements. So in your syllabus, you have you should be able to give assurance on forecasts. Prospective information means information about the future. You could be asked to give assurance on due diligence. So you've identified a target company and you need to find information and report it to the client. You could be asked to give information on performance information of public sector clients. You could be asked to give assurance on social environmental KPIs. We are going to be doing 2, 3, and 4 today. Social and environmental KPIs are very basic. If you understand the concept behind assignment number 4, 5 will become much easier. Sometimes the client does not want to hire you to check something and give an assurance. They want you to actually do the work for them. So when I say no assurance engagement, that basically means I'm asking you to actually do some work for me rather than give assurance on something that I've already done. There are 2 categories of assurance engagements, compilation and agreed upon procedures. Compilation engagement normally has to be done by a person who has some accounting background, because this is when you have to prepare, classify, summarize financial information. So for example, if you're asked to prepare financial statements. So if I say that I am firm ABC and I'm asking you to prepare financial statements, then that is basically a compilation engagement. The next example is forensic accounting, which is an example of agreed upon procedures. So agreed upon procedures simply means I want you to come, report on factual findings and go back. I'm not asking for assurance on work that has already been done. I actually want you to come and quantify fraud for me. So within your syllabus, the 6th other assignment is forensic accounting. And please remember, forensic accounting is a no assurance engagement. So for example, I suspect that fraud has taken place in my organization. I think it's the payroll manager who's created fake accounts and is transferring money into it. I want you, so as the practitioner, I want you to come, find out how much he's stolen up till now and how come he was able to get away with it. So what are my control problems because of which he was able to get away with this fraud? So what you see on the screen right now is basically a screenshot of your other assignments that are in your syllabus. Without going into too much detail, I think it's important that you have a basic understanding of whether they're assurance or non-assurance engagements. I'm just going to quickly open up a chat box. I've seen some questions. Okay, so that's fine. They're all recording related. No, Afan, due diligence is an assurance engagement. Now, if the specific terms are changed, that would be something else altogether, but we won't be talking about such specific scenarios. All right, guys, so keeping all of this in mind, we're now going to jump right into the first one. So the plan is, so remember we did a vote and you voted for 3 other assignments. The first one being assurance on PFI. I'm first going to quickly recap the knowledge checklist and then we'll be doing a question. Amir, if you've been with us since the first day, you should know that we don't do any practice without a pass exam question. We're not doing a latest attempt question. I've chosen one already and that's the one that we'll be doing. Aisha, the link has now been given to you and I've just checked the link and the recordings are available. The links have been posted and for day 1, 2, 3, 4, all 4 recordings are now available. We can, if there's any question regarding recordings and notes, I'll take it up at the end. But I know for a fact, because I was sent the links a few minutes ago, I've checked them and they're all working, and recordings for all 4 sessions are now available. Right, guys, I'm going to minimize the chat box. I won't be opening it up again until we start the questions. Right, so if I talk about this, and I'm not going to be teaching this, but I need you to be prepared for the straightforward testing as well. Remember, perspective basically means about the future. As AAA students, you should know very, very comfortably, because it's about the future, this will never be a reasonable assurance engagement. We will only ever be able to give limited assurance on this. So starting off with the first topic, you should prepare and be prepared to answer the difference between a forecast and a projection. So remember, both are about the future, but forecast is for a shorter term, projection is for a longer term. Forecast has more realistic best estimate assumptions, and projections have either hypothetical assumptions or a mix of best estimate and hypothetical assumptions. Forecasts might be used by external parties as well. Projections are primarily for internal use. So for example, you went to the bank as a company to ask for the loan, and they have asked for 2 things. They've asked for historical financial statements, and they've asked for cash flow forecasts as well. So as the client, I'm going to prepare both, potentially get assurance on both, and give it to the bank so I can get the loan. So step number 1, be very clear on the difference between a forecast and projection. Step number 2 gets a star. So you should be aware of the fact that a star for me basically means easy marks and frequently tested. So time and again, she's tested, and anyone who's taken this exam before and has come across this question would know that she asks for factors that you should consider before you accept this engagement. So very quickly, clarify what exactly the components of PFI are. Do I have to give assurance on just the cash flow forecast, or SOFP and P&L forecast as well? Tell them that the level of assurance is going to be limited. Ask them who's going to be using the report. Is it just the client, or would the bank be using that report as well? Maybe think about putting in a professional liability limiting clause. If the intended recipient is just the bank, then you should consider putting in a clause in the engagement letter that this report is going to be used for the by the bank only, and we're not going to be liable to any other party who relies on this report. Easiest marks, consider the deadlines. So if there's any mention of a deadline, link that. Otherwise, simply mention that we'll have to consider whether the work can be done in the deadline that is expected by the client. The resources should always be divided into 2 marks. You should see if you have staff available, but super important, staff with the relevant skills available. If you simply write the word resources, you'll get a 0. You'll have to explain what that means. So do you have free human resource to work on this assignment who has the relevant skills and experience to actually give assurance on a forecast? Evaluate the commercial viability. So if there's any indication they're saying we won't be able to pay you much, you'll have to consider whether you can accept this client. You sure can, but you'll have to put that as a separate mark. And super important, and you guys normally tend to mess this up, if the assurance is being given for an audit client, then think about the ethical issues as well. Only if that is an audit client. So you're already their auditors. If they're asking you to give assurance on this as well, then this could potentially lead to self-review threats. This could potentially lead to advocacy threat, and you could also be discussing management responsibility as well. This is a management threat as well. So the last element should only be discussed if you feel that, if you see that this is for an audit client. Once you've considered the factors before accepting the client, the next one is terms of engagement. Remember, we're talking about the engagement letter, which should be separate from that of the audit. So each assignment has its own engagement letter. In the engagement letter, if she asks, you'll have to explain. So mention for 1 mark that will specify what the management's responsibility is, which is making the assumptions and preparing prospective financial information. Mention who the intended user is. Mention the components of PFI, the period covered. So is it the forecast for the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months? Remember, the shorter the forecast period, the less risk it is. So I still might be able to give assurance on what might happen in the next 3 months, but if it's the next 12 months, the risk goes up because there are more chances that the assumptions could be wrong. You'll have to clarify what the nature of the assumptions are. Remember, they should be best estimates and they should not be hypothetical assumptions. If they're hypothetical assumptions, you should not take up this assignment because you won't be able to give even limited assurance on this. And clarify the level of assurance that you would be giving. So tell them this is a limited assurance engagement and you would only be giving a negative conclusion. Then comes the scenario specific part. And trust me, after this overview, you should be praying that questions on PFI come up because the procedures are rarely for more than 8-9 marks and most of them can be obtained by covering some straightforward procedures. So as practitioners and as AAA students, the minute you see the word procedures on prospective financial information, that is forecasts, you're going to minimize the question screen and type up these procedures in the response area. So very quickly, you have to get a written representation from the management regarding the intended use, their responsibilities, and the fact that all assumptions have been clearly communicated. Then lots of marks for evaluating the assumptions. You need to have a discussion with the management, the basis of their assumptions, and match it with your own knowledge of the business. KOB stands for knowledge of the business, which is basically understanding of the client. So whatever assumptions they've taken, you have to match it to your own understanding of the client. So for an ice cream seller, they have assumed that sales in December would go up by 500%. My knowledge of the business says that this is winters and there is no way sales are going to go up by 500%. So whatever assumptions they've taken in the forecast, you are the practitioner, you have knowledge of the business, match it to your own understanding, see if they're reasonable or not. Then check that the information has been prepared according to those assumptions and all assumptions have been disclosed as well. For SOFP and P&L forecasts, I'm just going to write this down. You have to make sure that the accounting policies are consistent with audited financial statements. So just because you're forecasting revenue for the year, you are not going to forget IFRS 15. The accounting policies and the basis remain the same. The only difference is you're doing an estimation for the upcoming 3-6 months, etc. You can cast, cross-cast, or recalculate for arithmetical accuracy. Very easy marks. Find out who prepared the PFI, the person who approved it, his competence, because that would basically help you evaluate whether you can rely on that information or not. And previous year's forecasts should be matched to previous year's results to actually see if they know how to do the estimation. So the minute you see the term procedures on forecast, you could say, aha, I have about 6 to 7 easy marks, minimize the question box and write down these answers. And then you should be coming up with some scenario-based answers as well, and that's what we'd be practicing today. So I'm going to be doing a question where you have to think of procedures for 13 marks, so it won't be enough to just come up with the straightforward procedures. And finally, and this has been tested in the past, so please do not take this very easy, you are asked to actually evaluate contents of a report on prospective financial information assurance as well. So whichever book or textbook or notes you're preparing from, it should include the contents of a report, assurance report on forecast. And as AAA students, you should be comfortable with the contents. You should be comfortable with the language, because I remember it wasn't a very long question, but she did test once where she gave a small extract of an assurance report on PFI, and she asked you to critically evaluate it. So keeping all of this in mind, I'm just going to put this onto the screen right now. This is, like I said at the start of the class, it's going to be a mix of straightforward and scenario-based. The scenario-based is procedures, case-based only. The rest, if you learn the basic information that's on the screen, you should be able to link it to the scenario given as well. All right, guys, any questions regarding particularly those of you who were struggling with this question? I genuinely feel that if this question comes up, then this is the easiest topic for you to get marks in. Mainly because most of your answer would come from what's on the screen right now. Just the report contents you have to prepare on your own, and also the scenario-based answers that you'll have to give. Once I've had confirmation this is okay, I need to tell you one more thing before you go on to the questions in terms of the procedures that are performed. Edmund, you should know the contents of the PFI, the report on PFI, and you just have to sort of evaluate whether they've been followed or not. If you guys give me 1 second, I'm just going to, it's like I said, because it's very difficult to cover all the topics, I'm just going to give you a screen, and if you could please get ready to take a screenshot. I've put your screen on freeze for a minute. Just bear with me, guys. I'm just opening up my screen from what I teach to my full-time students, and then I'll put that up for you guys. All right. And here you go. Sharing my screen now. So Edmund, when you're asked to critically evaluate a report on assurance that you've given on PFI, this is what the report should look like, the contents and what goes into it. So you have to sort of use this as a checklist to evaluate whether this has been done correctly or not. Amir, preparing a forecast and presenting it to the bank is the management's responsibility. When I actually take up that work of sort of checking it, not only is it advocacy, because the bank or the third party might think I'm actually taking the client's side, but they could also perceive this as me being the management. Because remember, Amir, forecast is what I'm going to, what I'm expecting for my business. So as an auditor, if I actually end up giving assurance on that, then it might be perceived as if I'm doing the work that was meant to be done by the management. Does that make sense, Amir? Yep, that's exactly what we're looking at. That's exactly what we're doing. Amir, that's exactly it. Yes. Amir, if you just step back for a second and think what you're doing, they feel this is what's going to happen in the next 6 months, and you're actually working on that. So yes, it would be perceived as if I'm acting like the management. Yeah, as the management role. I remember in one of the answers, she even linked self-interest to it. Yolanda, what I can do is I'll direct you to a video. So if you just go, Yolanda, I'm just going to put this in your answer session. If you just give me a second, just go on this channel on YouTube, and there's a video that is there for forensic accounting. It's a 13-minute video which revises forensic accounting, and all that can come up. So you can actually prepare the entire topic from that 13-minute video. All right. I may forget self-interest because that was very specific. I remember that question was very specific to the forecast being prepared and assurance being given for the bank. So she had mentioned something in that context. She had written that there would be self-interest threat because the auditor might be perceived in having an interest in the outcome of the negotiations. So they might sort of, behave in such a way that they would want to protect that interest. But that was very specific to the scenario. And I won't want you to talk about that. The safest ethical threats, if assurance is PFI, is being given to an audit client, are the three that you see on the screen. Self-review, advocacy are the most frequently given answers in her standard answers. So I have 53 people online. Are we all okay, guys? Are we all comfortable with what we have to prepare for? So if you just prepare through this entire handout, you should be able to cover the discussion-based portion, and we'll cover the knowledge scenario-based in just a second. Right. Now, one last thing. I know you've done this. I know I spoke about this, but we all know you would have all forgotten. When we talk about limited assurance, please understand that basically means that there has to be a lot of focus on analytical procedures and inquiry. So when you're looking at case-based answers, you should try and perform analytical procedures wherever possible. So for example, this is not relevant to what we're doing today. I'm just saying it for a generic question. For example, if my forecast shows that revenue is going to increase by 50% each month, you need to evaluate whether this matches with the trend in the past or trend in corresponding periods. If the salaries in the forecast are consistent, the same, haven't changed, this is slightly suspicious, because yes, they are fixed, but are you sure there's not going to be a variation with even $1 in any month? So it's more of, because remember, these are all assumption based, so you actually need to be focusing on the basis of those assumptions more than anything else. No, observation is not something I would want you to write in limited assurance, Amir. Observation in itself is very rarely used even in audit. So I would not want you to use this in limited assurance engagements at all, because I don't know why you would want to fit that in. It rarely ever covers anything. If I talk about external audit, observation is used in testing controls, but that doesn't happen in limited assurance. It's used in attending inventory counts. That doesn't happen in limited assurance. So I wouldn't want you to put in that word anywhere, please. Oh, Mars, she can test the same topic one exam after the other. The AAA examiner is not like that, that if she's tested PFI in one attempt, she can actually attempt it again in the next 3 attempts as well. So do not think of this as like, oh my God, this is done, this won't come up. So and we spoke about this on day one, anything and everything can come up. Right, guys. So I'm now going to be moving on to the handout that I have gotten uploaded. So the question on PFI that we're doing, apricot, is for 11 marks. So don't start right now. This is what's going to happen. I've gotten rid of all the straightforward testing because I know you guys can do it because, you know, that's just more discussion. I've only left the scenario-based part. Recommend the procedures that should be performed on the cash flow forecast for the 3 months ending 31st March in order to provide an assurance report as requested by apricot. 11 marks. So this is the reason why I do this question is because normally PFI procedures are 7-8 marks. So students get comfortable and say, oh yeah, we can do the straightforward knowledge portion. But in this question, this is what you'll have to do for the actual exam. Remember the rule, multiplied by 1.5 minutes. So you have 16.5 minutes to type up the entire answer. The first thing I'll do is write down these answers. So realistically, if you're not very good at learning, maybe you were able to remember about 5 marks. So the minute you see this, you're going to minimize the question box. You're going to write down the straightforward procedures and at least be comfortable that I've gotten close to passing marks for this one. So right now, I'm looking for at least 7 to 8 scenario specific procedures. I'm just going to do the first one with you without reading the question so that you know how you have to think about this. Do not start right now. Just focus on my point right now. With regards to cash sales, the first thing I could do in an actual exam is calculate the percentage increase. I'm not doing that right now, but the procedure is going to be more specific. This forecast has been made on the assumption that customers who pay in cash receive a 10% discount. I need to have a procedure on that. So 125, 135 and 140. I need to confirm for 1 mark. I need to confirm the trend from the past cash sales. That's my first mark. And then my second mark is I need to look at the invoices to confirm they are given a 10% discount. So trend from the past for 1 mark, confirm they actually do give a 10% discount from invoices of the past sales. Remember, this is the forecast, so I won't have invoices for 125. So invoices of the past sales, and that will confirm the basis of 125, 135 and 140 is right. So for each element, please don't forget, this is an assumption. You'll have to see if some trend, something can be confirmed from the past, and then whatever basis they have written, I need to make sure they're telling me the truth. So when you start reading this from the very first line, that's the thought process that you should have. They are forecasting salaries are going to be this much. I need to perform procedure to confirm the assumptions or the basis. They are saying a dividend of 80 is going to be paid in February. How have they come up with the figure? Has the approval for this payment happened? So please keep all of this in mind and you can start now. I fit this question onto the screen, but you should be able to use the handout from the handout section as well. You can start from the very first line. Your audit client, Apricot, is intending to purchase a warehouse. The previous handouts are available in the, well, okay, hang on. They are going to be available soon. I think there was a folder, but that's gone. It will be uploaded again, so it'll be made available soon. Don't worry. Please, you can start. Parvati, just start the questions right now. Yep, so this is going to be done soon. Don't worry. Dua, never ever start writing down the answers in AAA until you've read the question once. This is not for this topic only. This is for every single topic that can come up. That would be passing suicide. I don't know if that's a word. I'm just making this up because you are likely to mess up your answers if you don't read the entire question once. Although your answer is perfect, spot on for 1 mark, but I want you to read the entire question first, then read it the second time and think of the procedures. I'm going to write down the right answers that you've shown. That's a very good answer, Dua. Done, Edmund? So you're giving me the easy marks? You're giving me the easy, straightforward marks. That's absolutely fine. You've given me one answer from this red part. I'm focusing on the scenario-based one. Kayomi, done. That's perfect. Yolanda, done. Agreed. So the 500 could be confirmed through correspondence with the seller. It could be confirmed through the minutes of board meetings. Those are better evidence. Kayomi, your answer is correct, but you'd have better evidence than just a written representation if you look at the minutes or the correspondence with the seller. So I need to confirm that this is going to cost 500,000 and that's the basis of that forecasted figure. Natasha, good wording. Very well done. I'm not going to say this out loud because I want someone else to think of this, but very well worded. Chantal, no. Chantal, look at the assumption. When I receive an invoice, I pay within 30 days. So I'll take a sample of what, Chantal? In the past, when I receive an invoice, I pay within 30 days. So which two, you can't start from the cash book, right? I'll have to start from what? Thank you, Chantal. That's your answer. Very well done. So invoices and then payment date, and make sure they pay within 30 days. Yolanda, done. That's the easy mark. Richard, very well done. Opening cash can be confirmed from previous year's closing balance. Good answer, Richard. Dua, no to generic. I won't give you any marks for that. I want to make sure that the assumption of this is correct. Edmund, no. This is a forecast, and therefore I don't know if the previous inspection was successful. So there might not be any purchase document yet. Remember, I'm forecasting that in January, I'll have to pay this much. I haven't actually paid it. Adil, good answer. Good answer. Very well worded. Natasha, perfect answer. Good wording. Mukhtar, very good answer. Mukhtar, have you done this question before? Yolanda, I'm not too comfortable with the way you worded this. I want you to change your answer to word it like point number 6 on the screen. Previous year's forecasts need to be compared with actual results to see if they know how to make the forecast. Mukhtar, this is absolutely brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. Very good wording. Every single answer that you gave was correct. No, Chantal. The 12% discount can only be confirmed from invoices. So remember, they're saying that when we pay within this many days, you get a 12% discount. This would be written on the invoice. So I will take some past invoices and confirm. So your first answer was make sure they pay within 30 days, a separate mark. Your second answer is confirm they get the 12% discount. That would be mentioned on the invoice. Ahmed, good answer. So minutes for approving the dividend payment in February. Good answer, Amir. Edmund, very good answer. Remember, they've given the overheads as a single figure and it's constant, which is quite weird because it has some elements which are not same every month. The rent, insurance, premium, sure, but some of the other elements aren't going to be constant every month. So I'm going to confirm the basis of these assumptions. Good answer, Dua. Good answer, Yolanda. Done. You could use the word invoices, or you could use the word contractual agreement. Hamad, you'll have to explain what the procedure is. Simply writing salaries are constant is not going to get you any marks at all. Adil, good answer. Why were you worried about PFI? You're giving me such amazing answers. Agreed. I think it's 12%, Richard, no? I think you've swapped the numbers. But that doesn't matter, you'd still get the mark. Done, Dua? Muneeb, good answer. You want to find out whether the license has been renewed. You can have a discussion with the management, or you could, Muneeb, also get a copy of last surveys results. Mars, completely wrong answer for the first line. Mars, pay attention. This is a forecast. The money is going to happen. The flow is going to happen in March. Why are you checking bank statements right now? This is not something that has already happened. It's going to happen in the future. Supply correspondence is the only term for which I give you half a mark. And how do I evaluate whether I pay within 30 days? So in your entire answer, you only get half a mark for using the word supplier correspondence. Edmund, good answer. Yolanda, no, absolutely not. Remember, I need to first confirm. I don't need to know the terms at all. I need to confirm that the last inspection was successful and this much will be paid in January. Oh, is it January? Hang on, I can't see the question. Yes, it is January. So you can't look at the license because inspection might not. Remember, this is the future. So Yolanda, it's the 6th of November. They are saying we'll pay this much on the 6th of December. I'm sorry, where are the projections, Amir? What projections are you talking about? This is the cash flow forecast. Amir, are you okay with the difference between projection and forecast? There is no projection, and projections are not given in the AAA exam. Good answer, Mrs. Ediki. That is perfect. We need to look at last year's inspection report to see if a valid license was issued and to find out how much the license is going to be. Oh, Adil, very good answer. Dua, good, straightforward answer. Maz, why didn't you ask when we were revising it? I did specify. Maz, were you here? I actually did the recap of forecast and projection. Okay, Maz, just give me a second. While the others are doing this, I want you to please read the difference of a forecast and projection on the screen. Oh no, hang on. Wait. There you go. Maz, please read the difference between a forecast and projection on the screen and see if you have any questions. I recapped this when we started, and projections are not given in AAA, huh? It's always forecasts. No, Mukhtar, too generic, no marks for this. No, Richard. Richard, your answer is not relevant to what we're doing right now. It would be relevant to factors to consider before accepting, but procedures on forecast, this would not be a relevant answer. Hamad, no. Hamad, please, please, please remember, this has not happened yet. Please don't confuse this. Do not confuse this. There will be no bank statement because this is the forecast, Hamad, for December, next month. How can you look at this right now? Edmund, use the word aging report. Do you remember the word aging report? That would help you in evaluating the payment trend. Mars, no, I wouldn't give you marks for saying inspect the capital expenditure budget of Apricot. Actually, she will give you 1 mark for that. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that 1 mark. It's more specific to one element, but she'll give you that mark. Mukhtar, good answer for straightforward testing. Yolanda, good answer for straightforward marks. Done, Dua. Agreed. Hang on. Isn't the loan coming from the director, Adil? Let me go back to the question. If I remember the question properly, there is no bank correspondence. The loan is coming from the director. Yeah, so see, I'm not going to be there in the exam to say, Adil, what have you written? You will have to be careful. Let's not assume every time the loan is coming from the bank, a FAF could be giving it to you as well, huh? If I were that rich and give you on, that's not a big amount. All right, guys, I'm going to cover this step by step now. I'm going to minimize the question and answer box. I need everyone to be paying attention. Like I said, the minute you see the word procedures on forecast, please, 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 first get your passing marks. Trust me, and you will see when you read the standard answers that these are the answers that are there in every single question where she wants you to talk about procedures on forecasts. Now, in terms of scenario specific ones, this is what we're going to be looking at. Starting off with the first one, and I'm trying not to scribble too much on this because it's already quite messy. I'll just keep numbering it in black. With regards to the sales, I get 1 mark for saying I need to match this split with my own knowledge of the business. Number 2, look at this right at the bottom. The 10% discount can be confirmed from past invoices and make sure the cash sales figures are calculated on that basis. Number 3, the pattern of receipts from credit sales can be confirmed from the aging report and recalculated. Moving on to the next one, when we talk about the salaries, remember they are constant. Sorry, just going to put this down. They are constant each month, 100, 100, 100. I need to confirm the basis from the past payroll records. I also need to have a discussion with the management to see the basis on which they feel there's going to be absolutely no change in this 100 at all. With regards to the purchase of the new license, please guys, you keep forgetting this is not audit. This is the future. So they think they will have to pay 35,000 in the next month. You have to make sure the last inspection has been completed. You need to review correspondence, whether the renewal is happening and how much will need to be paid in the next month. So for 35, inspection report to confirm it will be renewed and correspondence to find out how much is going to be paid. They have said fixtures for the new warehouse. I can look at the supplier price list. Remember guys, this is a forecast. No invoices have happened right now. So they would have had some basis for this 60,000. The fans, the lights, the air conditioning. How did you come up with the 60,000 basis? They would have probably taken quotations or estimates from the supplier price list. With regards to the receipt of the loan and payment of the warehouse, you could check this from minutes, you could check this from seller correspondence, and because it's the purchase of a non-current asset, you could also check this from correspondence if this has happened with the lawyer. The opening balance can be confirmed from the cash book. Remember, this is not an estimate. This is an actual figure from last year's closing balance of the cash book. When I go to the purchases, remember, I need to get invoices and payments in the past so I can confirm payment is made within 30 days. I need to have a look at the invoices to confirm that they are given a 12% discount. Now, with regards to the overheads, I'm slightly concerned. The overheads are constant at 175. Look at the contents. Okay, the rentals can be the same. Insurance premiums can be the same. Why are you assuming that the bills and general expenses will not change even by a single dollar? So I am going to get a breakdown of these overhead forecasts, compare it with invoices in the past to evaluate the basis of these assumptions. So rentals and insurance premiums could be constant. I'm not too sure about the utility bills. And at the end of the day, we've already spoken about the health and safety license. At the end of the day, you could have a single mark for saying that the forecast could be prepared with other relevant budget, compared with other relevant budgets as well. Please remember, these 13 marks were scenario based, and you would add the 6 to 7 straightforward marks over here, and you have a good 19-mark answer. Take this step by step. Even if it's an SOFP or PNL forecast, remember, it is in the future. We have to confirm the trends and basis from the past. The word bank payment should not be seen anywhere. All right, I've had a few more answers that have come through. Richard, I'm okay with your answer. Mrs. Ediki, perfect answer, well done. Absolutely, Maz, that's exactly what we're doing. Amir, you only have to write 11. You know what I would do? Remember, Amir, this is what I said at the beginning. You're going to allocate 16.5 minutes to yourself. 16.5 minutes. Write the easy ones first, and then suppose 5 minutes are gone. For the rest of the time, write as many scenario based as possible. We don't need to write that, Dua. We don't need to confirm his ability to pay. That's not my honestly problem. I need some approval or discussion or correspondence that he is willing to pay. So his willingness can be confirmed by checking any correspondence that happened with him. Yolanda, not from the financial, yeah, I'll give you that mark, to be honest. Absolutely, Maz, we're doing it on both. Matthews, it's going to be uploaded soon. There's going to be, by the time we finish the webinar today, there's going to be a link given to you, which would have all the video links and previous note links as well. Mukhtar, I'll give you that mark. I'll happily give you that mark. Sorry. Okay for us to move on to the next assignment, guys? Any questions regarding this? The notes folder will be up already, Maz. Already a break for 5 minutes. It's only been an hour. We'll have a break after due diligence. We'll have a break after due diligence, okay? Okay. All right. So the next one then. For due diligence, and for some very odd reason, a lot of you tend to find this topic difficult. I'm going to focus on making it easier for you, starting off directly with a story. My story is very relevant to what can come up in the exam. That will automatically cover any scenario specific testing that is done, and then we'll move on to a super difficult question as well. My question box is minimized, so I can't see anything that's being typed in. I just want you to listen to me for the next 5 minutes, okay? So your client, so you are the practitioner, your client is XYZ college, and they want to acquire ABC college. So the target company is ABC, and they have hired you to perform a due diligence on ABC. So due diligence primarily basically means what? This is an assurance engagement. You are going to give limited assurance and directly report to them anything and everything that you find. Please understand, in audit, we are looking at last year's information and comparatives focused on financial information only. Super, that is amazing. I definitely want the audited financial statements. but I want to look for skeletons in the closet. I want to look for other information which is relevant to me once I acquired this college. So my procedures cannot be confirming double entries. My procedures have to focus on information that is relevant to XYZ. Let's see what that means. As the practitioner, my first question for them was, why do you want to acquire this college? And you said they have this very nice infrastructure, IT infrastructure. They've made this ACCA platform which replicates the exam. They have questions on it. That's what they used to teach, etc., etc. So instead of developing this from the scratch, which will take time and money, I just want to acquire the entire college because I'm rich like that. Okay. So based on this information, you're starting your due diligence. The information in purple is given in the question to you. So this college was started by two friends who own this 100%, John and Adam. John is an ACCA member, Adam is an IT graduate. Both of them started this college that you now want to acquire. As XYZ, I want to know if the IT infrastructure will work without Adam. Once he takes my money and goes, will this collapse? Who has the right over this? What are Adam's roles and responsibilities? I need to know the impact of them leaving. This cannot be found from audited financial statements. So the answer in pink is my first procedure. I'm going to find out about the roles and responsibilities of the key management, because XYZ wants to know if they leave, because they will, what is going to be the effect on operations. The next element. So the first element was about John and Adam. So ABC, the target company, took out a loan of 9 million 2 years ago. It's not fully repaid. Please do not confirm IFRS 7 and 9. That is not my headache. My headache is, after I acquired this college, how much will I have to pay? So for me, my procedure has to focus on the outstanding amount. So the loan agreement to confirm how much is left over what number of years. Is there any loan covenant? I don't want to accidentally breach it. Is there any asset held as collateral or security against that loan? So remember, I'm not confirming the double entry of finance cost. I'm not recalculating the finance cost. I want to know how much of this loan will I be taking up. The question says the college is in a rented building, which is owned by John's dad, and he's given it to the college at nominal rent. Obviously, he will not do me that favor. So I want the rent agreement, because I would either want to continue it or I would want to cancel it. So looking at the rent agreement, I will have to see if I want to continue it, what are the changes going to be? If I want to cancel it, will I have to pay any penalty? So I'm not looking for the double entry for the rent. I want to see, once ABC acquires, what was it? I've forgotten. Hang on. Yeah, once XYZ acquires ABC, what's going to be the impact on the rental terms? So my procedure is, get a copy of the rent agreement, look at the terms to evaluate what's going to happen if someone else takes over the college. Will they be still given the nominal rent? And what happens, for example, if they have to, guys, just give me a second. I'm getting a battery message and I just realized my laptop is not plugged in. Just give me a second. I don't want to shut down in the middle of the session. I have no idea what's happening. Putting myself on a mute. Maz, you're getting a 1-minute break. Okay, sorted. I have no idea what happened. Anyway, so back. So remember, I'm not looking for the double entry of the rent, not the debit expense, credit liability, or credit cash. I'm confirming the rental terms because the acquiring company is concerned what will happen to the arrangement once the ownership changes. They said in purple, they have 30 permanent lectures and 15 freelancers. So once again, I want to get a copy of their contracts to see what. I want to look at their experience and skills because I might not want to continue with them. So their contracts will tell me once I take over this college, how much will I have to pay in redundancy payments. The visiting lecturers, I want a copy of their contracts to see what are the terms that were agreed with them. So I'm not focusing on the double entries. I'm focusing on what's going to happen once I acquired this college. Super important. They have a contract with a local book publisher that they get 5,000 books printed every month. Once again, I want a copy of the contract. The target company has made this contract. I might have my own publisher. So once again, what do I need to find out? If I cancel this contract, will I have to pay any penalty? If I want to continue but get less than 5,000 books published, will I have to pay any penalty? So in simple terms, I'm looking at terms and conditions because I want to know what will happen once I acquire this college. The last one. So the target company rents out their computer labs to third parties regularly. So this is basically a source of other income for them. As the acquiring company, I want to know whether I want this headache. Remember, the college is in a building owned by John's dad, and that's the lab that was approved. So I'll have to see how big this income is because I will have to evaluate whether I want to continue with this contract or not. If you don't want to continue, what's the penalty? If you want to continue, can I shift the labs to my own building, etc., etc. So the key thing to remember is, I'm just going to finish my story and then open up the chat box after a little while. The key thing to remember is external audit is focused on past financial information that you attest to. Due diligence is not just about past 1 year. We'll be looking at past information for many years. We'll be looking at financial and non-financial impact on the acquiring company, and practitioner will be directly reporting on information that they find. So keeping all of this in mind, what I've done is I've made a list of procedures that you can link to almost every single due diligence question. So for example, definitely ask for the organizational chart because for key management personnel, you need to find their roles and responsibilities. You need to evaluate if the company can do without them if they leave. Definitely look for employee contracts because if you don't want to continue with them, you'll have to find out how much the acquiring company will have to pay. Any rent lease agreements that have happened, you need to get the contracts to find out the impact on the acquiring company, whether if they, especially if they want to cancel that contract. These are separate marks. In this scenario, if there are any key suppliers, lenders, customers mentioned, you'll have to look for agreements once again in order to evaluate what the future impact is going to be once we acquire the target company. Always write these 3 points. These are actually 2 to 3 marks. I'll be prudent and keep it as 2. But in order to carry out a financial evaluation of the target company, we need to look at audited financial statements for a number of years. After the last audit, I need to look at post year-end information available. This could be post year-end management accounts as well. Remember, the management accounts are the monthly accounts. And I need to look at the forecasts as well. So the entire purpose behind this is you're actually trying to evaluate whether the acquiring company should acquire the target company and how much should they pay for this. Before I go on to the straightforward element, that's going to come in a second, I'm going to open up the chat box to see if you're comfortable with the difficult scenarios linked aspect. Oh, yes, Mars, just your luck, huh? 5 seconds is what all it took, thank God. Because I don't have a backup device which has annotation. Had this died, I would have just been speaking and not writing at all, and you would have all fallen asleep. So good thing it was sorted out in 5 seconds. I'll talk about the discussion-based element that comes up. But for now, area that students struggle in is the case-based one. So if you could please confirm if there's any question. Amit, there is no standard at all. There's absolutely no requirement. You could do it for as many years as you want. Anything else, guys? Oh, question number 2 and 3. Yes, Mars, absolutely. Absolutely, question number 2 and 3. They would never come up in question number 1. All right, guys, I need you to take 2-3 minutes and please read through this flowchart right now. Not flowchart, this table. This is the first straightforward testing that comes up. I'm giving you about 3-4 minutes. If you could please read through this and let me know if you have any questions. Adil, only the last one that I spoke about, otherwise no. Most of the time, to be honest, the procedures are written in a way that these will be linked to the scenario in any case. When I was making them, I made sure that I go through all the due diligence questions tested in the past 15 years, and then came up with this list. So these are the ones that she would expect you to link in almost every single question. So I don't think she's going to change her trend all of a sudden regarding this. Once you've read through this, please let me know, because with regards to straightforward testing, this is the first type of testing that could come up for easy marks in the exam. Amaz, what acquisition thing are you talking about? Do you understand? Due diligence is about acquisition. You would do a due diligence question because a company wants to acquire a target company. Or have I misunderstood your question? There can be no due diligence assignment without a target company and one that is acquiring it. I have such utter quietness from 53 participants is a bit scary. On distribution requirements, Adil, this report is primarily for internal use, Adil. The due diligence report is primarily for internal use. Primarily acquisition standard. She's always tested it for acquisitions. But it could be either. The answer would not change. The key is me gathering information. Because it's a review engagement, Amir. Because it's a review engagement, limited assurance. Due diligence is a review engagement, limited assurance is given. Maz, I don't know. That would depend entirely on the question. What loan approval? You would not look for loan approval because that's not my concern. My concern is basically how much of the loan will I have to pay. Whether it was approved or not is not my headache. My only concern is once I take over this client, how much of the loan would I have to pay? Mrs. Ediki, remember in AA, in reasonable assurance engagements, you do more work, give higher level of assurance. In limited assurance engagements, we do lesser work and give a lower level of assurance. Both are given by the practitioner. So for example, if EY or PwC is the practitioner, both are done by firms, but in each assignment, the level of assurance is different. Remember, if you're doing all sorts of work like internal control, going concern review, then that's a higher level called audit. If you're doing analytical procedures and inquiry mainly, then that's limited assurance. No, it's not. Ahmed, because that I can fix, right? And Ahmed, to be honest, I might not even continue with the controls. Once you acquire, won't you want to run it your own way? You're not really concerned about the way they run the controls because I'll change it. So I don't want to know how weak or strong their controls are. I'll fix them myself anyway. Okay, for us to move on to a question. No, sorry, one more thing. Sorry. So are we okay with this table on the screen right now? If I could please have confirmation from a few of you. All right. One last thing. So if she's in a good mood, she could test you on the difference between external audit and due diligence. Please remember, she will not make this heading list for you. You'll have to make it yourself, okay? She could also, and this has happened in the past, you should see these questions in the revision kit as well. Why should due diligence be done externally by a firm versus by the directors themselves? So why are they spending? So advantages basically. So you should prepare this from the revision kit. She normally tests you on this if she's in a good mood to say, why are the auditors not doing the due diligence themselves? Why are they spending money in getting this done by a firm? And therefore, you should be able to have a discussion about around advantages that you can prepare on your own. So that would just be too generic a discussion. So just make sure you're ready for that as well. I'm going to repeat myself. Whichever book you're using to prepare for other assignments, please be prepared for straightforward testing. Exactly, Amit. That's one answer. The firm would have more expertise. Directors' time would be wasted. They won't be able to focus on their current operations, etc., etc. So stuff like that you should prepare for on your own. All right, guys, keeping all of this in mind, we're now going to move on to the second question that which is there in your handout. It's the third one, sorry. The second one is something else. So if you could please open this question called Jacob Go and give me the answer to this for 10 marks. Make sure you read the introduction properly, but your entire additional information or procedures would come from where it tells you about the target company. Start, guys. Franklina, Edmund, Godfrey, you're very quiet today. I hope everything is okay. Happy to answer any questions that you may have. Okay, super. So just keep my list in mind. And like I said, I can assure you, you'd easily get passing mark procedures if you can just link my list to the scenario, but you should look for other answers as well. Remember, it's not difficult. For each element, think of how that information would be relevant to Jacob. Who's the acquiring company? Hang on. Yeah. So for each one, just mention why, what information would Jacob want around this point. Neha, no, we don't have a WhatsApp group. So we don't have a WhatsApp group, but there is a contact email address for you to ask me any questions even after the session. I'll just share that once again. I've shared that on day 2, 3, 4, and today as well. And I'll put that up again towards the end of the session, and you can just email me and I'll try and answer it as soon as I see it. But there's no WhatsApp group. I didn't really know WhatsApp was a trend, by the way. I've been asked this question since day one, but I'm not very active on WhatsApp. I don't use it a lot. I'm more active on email. So I'd prefer if you just send that in case you have any questions. Mars, that's not going to be possible. I apologize. Honestly, I would have done it if I'd had time. I have a super busy month. So even if you send it through, I won't be able to comment on it. Neha, I think someone has shared the link to the videos above, and I've checked the links are working. Basti, sorry, Mars, that's fine then. That's absolutely fine. So yep, Neha, you've been sent the links for all the recordings. I want you to see and think if you can come up with 10 answers for this, please. I'm just going to look for the eCampus link to forensic accounting as well, and you can have revise that after the session. Done, Dua, good answer. Edmund, regarding future liabilities of what? You're absolutely right, but you need to tell me which area you're talking about. Are you talking about the lawsuit with the actors? So be specific. Neha, that's also going to be made available by the end of the class. Okay, you've gotten half a mark, Willie. Just make sure why. Use the word financial evaluation, huh? So in order to evaluate the financial position, or maybe the fact that they're saying we've done so well in the past. So to confirm that, you would do that evaluation. All right, I've just had some answers coming in altogether. I'm going to read all the answers. Just give me a second, scrolling down too quickly. Edmund, perfect answer. Good answer. Yolanda, I'll give you half a mark for organizational chart, but oh no, you've written key management responsibility. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Sorry, I misread it. Perfect answer, Yolanda. Good answer, Dua, regarding directors' contracts. Good answer, Amir. Yep, absolutely, Mrs. Ediki, you can. You definitely can start. Adil, good answer. Richard, perfect answer. When Monita, perfect answer. Ownership confirmation has to happen because it's recently acquired piece of land. So absolutely yes, well done. Edmund, yep, you want to look at the rent agreement to confirm the other terms, particularly because you might want to cancel this. Dua, perfect answer. Very well done, Mukhtar. I didn't think anyone would pick this up, so very well done. You need to get a copy of the contract with Austin because you want to find out whether you're going to be continuing or not with this. So absolutely yes, spot on. Okay. Richard, yep, ownership answer correct. Yolanda, correct answer. Adil, perfect answer. Chantal, spot on. That's the exact answer I was looking for. Admin, yep, you need to get a copy of the overdraft agreement to confirm the terms, but also admin, very important, you want to find out about the renewal because it's dependent on the overdraft facility in some months. So I want to know when it's coming up for renewal. Neha, half a mark because you haven't specified where you'd get this from, but good point. Remember, we need to get further information about the impact on the reputation. That's the why, but where would you get it from? Dua, good answer, well done. Austin, Mrs. Etke, no, you do not need to communicate with Austin. We need to consider whether Jacob would want to continue or not. So I want a copy of the contract, find out what the terms are and what will happen if they want to continue with them or not. Richard, good answer regarding the agreement. Oh, Amir, good answer. I'll give you that mark. Yup, Adil, correspondence regarding the lawsuit, perfect. Yes, you can. Venmonita, yes, you can. I'm so sorry because I know I'm probably mispronouncing your name, but yes, you can. You can do it in a bullet format. As long as you write complete English sentences covering the what and why. Okay, Mukhtar, don't look for the notice period. Look for how much will I have to pay if I want to kick them out. Except that I use the word redundancy. So key staff contracts to see my terms or the payments that have to be made if I want to make them redundant. Adil, I'm assuming that's continuation of your legal point. That's correct. Afan, good answer regarding the legal outcome. Yep, Neha, now your answer is complete. Yolanda, good answer. You can do that, by the way, through trends as well, huh? So you know how they've said we've done so well in the past. Confirm it through past financial statements. Good answer, Dua. Yep, Richard, perfect, spot on. Well done. Done. Edmund, done. Okay. I'm just going to, just a second. I missed Chantel's answer. Copy of information file for the court case public. Yep, Chantel, good answer. Amir, is Jacob going to directly contact with Austin, or will Jacob ask law? Why do you want to get in touch with Austin? Don't bother them right now. Right now, I want the service contract. So Locke would have the service contract between Locke and Austin. I want a copy of that contract for now. That's it. To look at the terms, etc. I don't want to get in touch with Austin right now. No correspondence needs to be checked and no confirmation needs to be taken. Maz, good answer. Dua, good answer. No, Mrs. Ediki, I don't want to confirm if the chemical is actually bad for the skin. I want to know what's happening with the lawsuit. So no, I wouldn't give you marks for the way this has been worded. Adil, no. Have they mentioned the word a warranty period? Adil, if they haven't, then I won't give you any marks for that. Had they mentioned this, I would have looked at past warranty claims. I don't remember the question every word, but if they haven't mentioned warranty, then no marks for this. Edmund, good answer. Yolanda, financial statements to confirm bank overdraft. No, Yolanda, no. I won't give you any marks for this. So I will give you marks for looking at renewal of the bank overdraft, but not for the way you worded this. Done, Richard, good answer. Yolanda, I can understand. Yep, Maz, absolutely. What first paragraph? Oh my God, Maz, whoever was talking about the warranty, That's Jacob's problem. Adil, that is about Jacob. We are doing the due diligence on Locke. Locke is not giving any warranty. Vileet, you can inspect the recently purchased land document for ownership, but I'll give you half a mark for your answer, not for using the terms that you have done so, because that's too generic. Edmund, last 3 years performance information from where? Where would you actually get that from? Is it the financial statements? So that's basically what you're looking at. I hope you guys remember to write the straightforward point as well. Thank you. Dua, perfect answer. Walid, perfect answer. Maz, perfect answer. Okay, guys, I'm going to minimize the chat box now, putting up the annotated answer, and then we will take a break as well. I'm just going to, I won't scribble anymore because it's already very messy. Starting from the very first point, 3 of the 5 board directors were the original founders. Remember, organizational chart for roles. Head office is in a prestigious building. Contract to find out the terms and conditions. A separate piece of land has been recently purchased. Lots of things. Is there any outstanding amount? I need to confirm if ownership has been transferred. I need to look at the location, size, whether planning permission has been achieved. Remember, Locke bought it to make a head office. Jacob might not need it for the head office. They might just sell it again, or they might just have maybe a swimming pool or whatever, a luxury resort over there. So I need to find out the location, the size, whether all relevant permissions have been achieved, have the rights been transferred, if there's any outstanding amount that still needs to be paid. These are all separate marks for point number 3. Point number 4 says the company has grown rapidly. My question is, really, I need to confirm this. This can be done from my 3 answers. Previous certain number of years, 4, 5, 6 financial statements, post year-end information and forecasts. The expansion was funded by a significant loan. I need to get a copy of the agreement to look at the terms, the amount outstanding, any asset held as security, etc. They have an overdraft facility every single time. I want to know when it is up for renewal, what the limit is. Moving on to the paragraphs written in green, they are saying they have a good reputation. I need to confirm this. I could have results of market surveys or maybe look at repeat sales. Remember, if the same customer has come back to you, that means they were happy with your performance. Regarding the lawsuit by that famous actor, you can confirm from the lawyer or check correspondence to confirm the probability that they'll have to pay and the amount as well. With regards to the accounting function that's been also outsourced to Austin, I need a copy of the service contract to look at the terms, etc. So just make sure for every answer, what are you doing and why are you doing it? So what are you doing? Looking at the overdraft contract. Why? You want to confirm when it is due for renewal, half a mark. What the total limit assigned is, another half a mark. So I'm just going to put this onto the screen and open up the chat box to see if you guys have any questions. Yolanda, instead of discussing with the legal advisor, the term we use is confirmation. We never discuss with third parties. Remember, third parties like lenders, suppliers, customers, we always take an external confirmation. No, in all procedures, Mars. In procedure, you know, right, that procedure is basically the work that you have to do. So evidence, procedure, other information that is needed, it's pretty much the same thing. Any questions, guys? Yep, exactly, Yolanda. So you can't discuss this with the legal advisors, you'll have to get a confirmation from them. Yolanda, purely for your information, if they have an in-house legal department, then you can use the word discussion as well. But I'm just giving you too much information. But if it's an external set of lawyers, it's always confirmation in writing. So discussion is a word that you can only use for people within the organization. No problem. All right, guys, then a quick 5-minute break, and we will come back to do a question on audit of performance information in public sector and a very short question on forensic as well. Meanwhile, I've sent you a link. I just literally searched this on eCampus. I don't know if all of you have received this. This is the link to the videos which have your forensic video as well. Or if you could simply just search scans eCampus advanced audit and assurance, you will come up with the forensic video as well. Yolanda, it is very simple, to be honest. I think due diligence is one of an easier topic to get marks in as long as you know what you're doing. Remember, you're literally looking for the headache that I'll be taking up if I acquire lock. Just remember my word. What is going to be the effect on me once I acquire it? Right, guys, a 5-minute break. I'll see you in 5 minutes. Right, guys, could I have a quick confirmation? Everyone's back? Not everyone. I'm not really expecting a confirmation from everyone, just a sample basis. Are you all okay? I'm back. All right, super. We're going to move on to the next one, and I have absolutely no idea why you find this difficult. But yes, the bad news is, other than uh, two easy marks for the straightforward procedures that can pretty much be linked to every single topic, you won't be able to, you'll have to come up with answers which are 100% scenario based, okay? So my first question is, and this is something that I would ask for any student who's prepared this topic, if I ask you to conduct a performance audit of a public sector hospital, remember, public sector basically means state controlled. Do not call it a government organization. That's not a term that we use in ACCA, right? It's either public sector or state controlled. So if I could have a confirmation from an answer from any of you, what do you mean by a performance audit? So this is a public sector hospital and a performance audit is happening. What does that actually mean? Anyone? Okay, so no one, I think. Let's start with that then. Performance audit is basically, absolutely Chantel, very well done, the 3 E's. So when I talk about the term performance audit, that simply means we have to find out economy. No, no, Dua, not at all. That means economy, efficiency, and effectiveness. So economy, remember, meant least cost. Efficiency means optimal utilization of resources. And effectiveness, Franklina, is the last part to see if the objectives have been met. You should know that performance audit is not the same as performance information audit. Dua, your answer is basically for the second half, which is your other assignment. Now, this public sector hospital, in their 2020 report, wants to publish this performance information. They want to say that in 2020, their death rate was 7%, and people had to wait for an average of 6 minutes before they were attended to by a doctor in the ICU. Now, keeping this in mind, you have been hired as a practitioner to audit this 7% and 6 minutes. So maybe the regulators hired you, it doesn't matter who did so. The basic point is you will have to evaluate whether this information is correct or not. And every single answer will need to be scenario specific other than the 3 marks that I'm giving you right now. So the minute you see audit of performance information in the public sector, the first answer that you're going to write is you're going to have a discussion with the management to ask them how did they measure and report or record each of this measure. So how did they calculate the 7%? So for every single question, the easiest 1 mark is finding out the process they followed to actually record the measures that they're putting on the website. Then another easy mark, I want to compare this with last year. So last year, what was the ICU death rate? What was the waiting time in the ICU? And similarly, this is the second mark. I need to compare this with similar sized hospitals. Remember, I can't just compare it with a private hospital. If I'm a hospital in a main area, I can't compare it with a smaller public sector hospital in a remote area. Because on the main road, near the highway, more accidents, more serious accidents. So if I compare it with a smaller public sector hospital, that would not be like with like. So the minute you see this, these are the only 3 marks that I can actually give you for every single question, because that's what you have to do as a starting point. Now I'll have to make up the rest of the answers. So they are saying, and let's start thinking like this. They are saying the ICU death rate was 7%. That means I am going to take a sample or 100% of the admission forms. I am going to take a list of death certificates that were issued, and I am going to recalculate that the death was 7%. So remember, in step number 1, I have to think of how they would have calculated the death rate. Of the people who came to the ICU, they would have an admission form. 7% died during the year. I want to have a comparison with the death certificate. You could change the terminology. You can, because remember, she knows you don't know the exact terminology, but the measure has to be confirmed one way or the other. Similarly, the waiting time is 6 minutes. Once again, potentially thinking of an answer, going to find out from the admission form when the persons or the person came, when they were attended to by the doctor, and recalculate whether this was within 6 minutes. Remember, if they want to publish this information, they would have some system in place which records the time. I don't have to think of that. I just have to think of a way to verify it. Because I made up this example, the answers are not very clear and specific. The examiner is very nice. The question that she has given, a published one, it was very easy to pick up which lists needed to be compared. But after this story, let's have a quick recap of what can be tested in the AAA exam. So you should be able to explain what a performance audit is. And this is completely different from your performance information audit. So Dua, what you said, the key performance indicators, that's an audit of my performance information. Normally, as a discussion-based question, she would want you to discuss the characteristics of the performance measures. So for example, are they actually measurable? What system was used to measure the waiting time? How was the information captured and reported? Some measures might not be very objective. Remember, things like customer satisfaction are more subjective and more difficult to measure. Are the measures even relevant to the stakeholders? So as a patient, if I want to go to a public sector hospital, is the measure relevant to me? If I want to print the number of balls which are pink versus number of balls which are white, this is not a relevant performance measure for me. Are they comparable with similar size organizations? Did you do the calculation on a sample basis or 100%? So the death rate of 7%, did you include every single admission form versus death certificate, or was this done on a sample basis? So this has only been tested once, as far as I remember, in the published questions. And she wants you to have a discussion around what characteristics of measures are important. As far as the procedures are concerned, unfortunately, they'll have to be 100% scenario based. The only 3 marks are the ones that I told you. So remember, discussion with the management regarding how these were measured and reported, comparison with last year, comparison with similar size organizations. The last one, the reporting for this report actually has no specific format. It could either be a limited assurance engagement or a reasonable assurance engagement. It depends on the regulatory body. So there's, like forecast is always limited assurance, but for this one, it depends. It could either be limited or it could be reasonable. That depends entirely on what the regulatory body wants me to do. But at the end of the day, please remember, we're not confirming double entries with reference to reporting framework. We are only confirming information about the hospital's performance that they want to print on the website. So this topic is not tested very frequently. One of the published questions regarding a university is what we're going to do right now. This is the exact handout that I give to my face-to-face students as well. There's nothing beyond this that you need to sort of know. I'm going to open up the chat box to see if you guys have any questions before we go on to a scenario-based topic. Any questions regarding this, guys? Yeah, Mars performance audit is something you've studied in your earlier studies called value for money audit. So Mars, this is for your information only. So for example, you walk into a public sector hospital and there are 5 computers and only 2 of them are being used. Because it's taxpayers' money, you would say this is not really an efficient use of resources, the second E. So when I say performance audit, the hospital is run is least cost, economy, efficient. Guys, I got disconnected for a second. So efficiency means, are the resources being utilized in the best way possible? Resources could include human resource, it could include your assets, it could include money as well. And effectiveness is whether the objective of the hospital has been achieved or not. So value for money audit is assumed knowledge for AAA. I will admit, I will be doing an exam question just now. Yolanda, that question was basically the ethical implications of you accepting another engagement for an audit client. So the procedures were not expected. You just had to write down the factors that you'll have to consider. It wasn't an audit of performance information. Remember, Yolanda, this is for public sector organizations. That one was not a public sector organization. That was KPIs for a normal private profit-making company. All right, guys. We're now going to be doing, so there's one very good question, which is entirely scenario-based. A public sector university wants to print this information on their website, and you have to recommend the procedures that you would perform on auditing this information. So I want you to start from the scratch. Please start from the very first line. Yeah, Ali, absolutely. It could either be limited or reasonable. She will tell you in the scenario. Either way, my procedures won't change. if she's asked for procedures specifically, then you only talk about the procedures. So yes. So the answer to your question is yes, that's what we assume. So only talk about procedures to confirm whatever they've written. So they're saying of the people who started, 85% graduated. From the list of the graduates, 20% got a distinction. Waleed, no, you're not going to do this separately. You're going to do this for all performance measures combined as 1 mark. Because percentage of graduation rate, we know how that was done. You'll have to tell me how. For 1 mark, have a discussion with the management and ask them the process that was used to report and to measure and record each performance measure. Just write that generic term. Don't do it for each one separately unless it's a subjective area. So do one generic answer. For the rest, it has to be more specific to the situation. The calculation of graduation rate is something you have to think of. There's no subjectivity in there. Absolutely, Hamad. That's the answer. The process they used to calculate this. Mukhtar, you'll have to be slightly more specific. She's not that nice. You will have to be slightly more specific than that. A simple recalculation will not get you any marks. Yolanda, I'll give you those marks, but just don't use the word graduation rates for the third point. Because for each KPI, you'll have to do a separate answer. Just do a generic one. You know how you did it for the generic one for the first two? For the last one as well, for each KPI, compare it to, you've already done it for the second one, just compare it with other public sector universities and that's it. Adil, good answer. Very good answer, Adil. Mukhtar, very good answer. Dua, perfect answer. No, Waleed, no. Don't ask the management how they measure the number of students in the university. Too vague, no marks. Van Manita, do this for one overall answer, how they measure student satisfaction, and then ask for the forms. Remember, they would have admission forms, evaluation forms where the evaluation of satisfaction would have been done. Guys, I'm just going to do the first one for you so you can think like this. Just bear with me for the first one. Percentage of students who completed their degree program, 85%. I want everyone to listen to me very carefully. I am going to ask for a list of students who took admissions. Suppose 100 of them. I am going to take a list of students who graduated. Suppose there are 85 names over there. And I am going to recalculate this to confirm it is 85%. That's my first mark. I'm only covering the first one. I need you to listen to this so that you understand how this is done. So, list of admissions, because that I have to think of myself. Percentage of students who took admission compared with percentage of students who graduated, and do a recalculation for 1 mark. However, I cannot trust these lists blindly. So therefore, for a sample of these names, I need to compare it to admission forms. I want to make sure that the right names, and I need to compare this with graduation certificates or degrees. This completes your verification of 85%. Those of you who were simply saying recalculation, I won't give you that mark. You have to tell me which two lists are going to be compared and recalculated. But once again, you can't blindly trust those lists. You have to do a verification of the list as well. So think like that, please. I'm going to scroll up. Chantal, very good answer. You need to find out, this is a very good mark. I'm just going to, sorry, I don't know, that was accidental. See, a subjective answer is the distinction criteria. I'm going to discuss with the management the criteria for a distinction. See, good answer, Chantal. That's the sort of answer I'm looking for. Because this is subjective, that answer will only be obtained from the management. And then later on, confirm the distinction list by matching it with that criteria. Scrolling up, I'm just going to comment on the answers that I missed. Hang on, moved too fast. Let me just go back. Franklin, I'm reading your answer. Oh, perfect, Franklin. You've given the first answer. Very well done. So list of admissions versus the list of graduates, 1 mark, and then do a sample check on that list as well. Mrs. Adiki, absolutely perfect. Graduation certificates or letters received from the graduation ceremony, perfect answer. Hamad, perfect answer. Adil, very good answer. I'm going to write down Adil's answer over here as well. So just going to move this down, take a different color. And yes, for this, you're going to be looking at the forms and you're going to find out and see if 70% of them have said that they're happy with the course. So who took the exams, distinction, done Yolanda, good answer. Mukhtar, too generic, no marks for saying test of control for accuracy of data. Dua, good answer. Yep, Chantal, you absolutely can. For the 20% comment, you absolutely can. Super, Dua, very well done. Regarding your scorecards, that's perfect. You want to make sure the people on the distinction list actually meet the criteria. So absolutely yes, Dua. Good answer, Adil. I love the way you worded the alumni forms. You want to find out that they've gotten graduate level employment. Franklina, good answer. Richard, good answer. Very well done. See, so this is not a difficult topic. All of you have given me correct answers. I'm just going to wait another minute or so to comment on more answers, then I'll do the debrief for you. Agreed? No, sorry, Mrs. Ediki, remember, for the second one, the distinction one, I'm going to change the color to light blue. You have to start with the list of graduates and the list of those who got a distinction. So out of the 85 who graduated, 20% got a distinction. So that's what you can't take a list of people who took the exam, right? Because we have to find out of the people who graduated, 20% got a distinction. So you need to calculate, number one, whether this is 20%, You've already confirmed the graduation list from the certificates. You can actually now confirm these 17 people by having a discussion with the management regarding the criteria and then getting a copy of the results, to make sure the criteria is met. Remember, do this very logically. Out of those who graduated, 20% got a distinction. First, do a recalculation, then do a sample check. Edmund, absolutely correct. Do the same thing for employment. Get a list of people who graduated, list of people who got employment, and then confirm the employment list as well. Hamad, done? Good answer. Dua, perfect answer for survey documents. Mrs. Ediki, are you okay with why we didn't take up a list of all the people who took the exam? We're only going to take up a list of people who graduated because that's where the percentage is coming from. Similar answer for the third one, which is 65%. Start with the graduation list. Come up with the employment list. And they have said, what was employment percentage? 65%. So they are saying 65% of the people who graduate actually got graduate level employment. So 55 people got graduate level employment. You can confirm this. I think it was someone who said from alumni information, you can send them confirmation letters as well. So you can remember graduate level employment means they are not cleaning toilets. They're actually working at a job which is graduate level. And all of you gave me the right answer for customer satisfaction. It's the forms that you'd use and recalculate them. So guys, this is actually my answer debrief as well. So every single step, you have to do a recalculation specific to the list and confirmation of the list as well. Yep, Manita. So we're going to take a sample of the forms and confirm that 70% mentioned that they were satisfied. Remember, you know my question, whether they took 100% or sample basis, you can actually write that over here as well. So I can ask the management, did you consider every single form that was received or did you do this on a sample basis? That's just a bonus mark. So if there were 5,000 students, did you actually consider the forms of 5,000 kids or did you just take up a sample? Any questions regarding this, guys? So my hospital example was a bit more vague and more difficult to come up with the answers for. Her answer was more specific. Any questions at all? Come on, guys. Adil, I think in the published questions, as far as I remember, about 2 times in total. I don't remember which the second question was. It wasn't a difficult one, so I've never done it in the class. It might or might not be in the revision kit. So normally questions which are not difficult, I don't even go through them ever again because I'm like, okay, that's a piece of cake. And not from my perspective, from the student's perspective. So in the published questions about 2 times, I have no idea about the unpublished ones. KPIs are basically performance information, Maz. Key performance indicator is basically performance information. So Maz, AAA aside, for For-profit organizations, it's things like profitability ratios which are important. But for state-controlled organizations, it's these performance measures which tell you how good or bad that public sector university is. So if you want to rank a public sector university, you would do it on the basis of these KPIs or performance information. If God forbid you have to go to a public sector hospital, you would want to go to one where the death rate is lower. Yes, we will. Of course you will, Dua. Absolutely. I would never want to keep my scribbly, horrible writing to myself. I will definitely make you suffer and give this to you. It will be emailed and it will be uploaded in that folder. All right, guys. I'm just going to put up a very short question on forensic for you guys. Remember, forensic, the knowledge-based portion, I've sent you a link. It's a video shared from Scans eCampus. It's titled Forensic Accounting as well. I literally did a Google search and sent you that link. You can actually access it from there to learn this. But just let me tell you one simple concept. Forensic, oh no, hang on. Let me ask you a question. Could you please tell me whether forensic is a limited assurance engagement or a reasonable assurance engagement? In forensic accounting, what is the level of assurance? Limited or reasonable? Edmund, Dua, you're both wrong. Yolanda is the only one who's right. It's written on the screen. No assurance is given. In forensic, I'm not asking you to check something that has already been done. Normally, I'm asking you to come and find out how much was stolen, how was it stolen. And the word forensic means this involves law. So I might want you to actually get involved with the police and court as well. So the difficult portion, the straightforward portion, all is covered in that video. The difficult portion is on the screen. Absolutely no scenario-based marks at all. You will have to use your professional skepticism and a bit of common sense and a bit of your procedures knowledge and come up with the answer to these 5 marks. I'm going to read the requirement with you. Recommend procedures that should be performed by your firm to quantify the financial loss suffered by MAC as a result of the fraud. Stay with me on this one. This has some easy answers to be looked at as well. Please listen to this very carefully. Financial loss basically means anything stolen minus anything that was insured or recovered by the police. Remember, the word stolen means something else. The word loss means something else. So you need to perform procedures to find out how much was stolen. What procedures would you perform? Find out if anything is insured. Find out if anything has been recovered by the police. Do it for a total of 5 marks. A very short question. Let's see what you guys can come up with. No mass. Forensic is a separate engagement. This is a separate no assurance engagement. So read the question and let's see what you guys can come up with. Mars, you'll just tell the management. That would not be a forensic accounting engagement, Mars. Okay, Vananita, please remember, he will not give you the personal bank account statement, so you'll have to focus on auditing stuff which is at the client. Yes, Dua. So you can actually get the company's bank account statements and find out how much money was paid into his account. But guys, the problem is not his own personal account. You're taking this the wrong way. Be very careful about what you're given in this scenario. Okay, Suraya, I'll definitely give you that marks. Interview the other employees to find out what they know about the fraud. Definitely give you that answer marks. I'm going to underline the key portion that you have to focus on. So literally just these green lines that you have to focus on. Guys, remember the last two green question marks are the easy 2 marks as well. Okay, Adil, I'll definitely give you some marks for the way you want to find out when the new supplies are added, who does the approval. Admin, don't discuss with the management, get the copies of the invoices. Remember, discussion is weak evidence. Actually looking at the invoices is a better form of evidence. Done, Yolanda, good answer. So remember, you could use computer-aided audit techniques as well. You can search and find out payments that were made directly to the bank manager's personal account number. So good answer, guys. Think, think, think. So for questions like this, you will have to be linking everything to the scenario. No, Mrs. Ediki, no marks for minutes for this question at all. Remember, things like minutes will not help me find out how much was stolen. If they knew, they wouldn't have hired me. Nope, Dua. No marks for the way you've written this. I want to see, you're not asked to find out how the fraud happened. Look at the requirement, Dua. You're asked to find out how much was stolen, how much was insured, and how much was recovered by the police. Okay, so obtain a copy of the bank statement to confirm the amounts paid to flagged. Oh yeah, okay, done. Because I remember your first answer, Yolanda. Agreed, done. No admin, no marks for that. You have to ask the management if any money has been recovered by the police. That's the actual answer. Nope, Adil, no marks for exit interview. You will not find out how much was stolen. Very good, Dua. Correspondence with the police to find out if any money was recovered. How will you find out if there was any insurance? Absolutely, Van Vanita, good answer. How do you confirm if there was insurance done against any such theft or whether any of this is insured? Yep, so you'll have a, Dua, that's what you have to find out. You can inspect the insurance policy if it covers fraud. So basically, Richard, absolutely, you need a copy of the policy to see if this is covered or not. Done, Adil? Think, guys. With forensic, the only scenario specific part is this one. By the way, do you know the question that I spoke about, cafe with the K? That also has the forensic part, where you have to quantify how much was stolen. Nope, Edmund, that will not help you find out how much was stolen. Remember, you are not being hired to tell me how the fraud happened. The question says, tell me my loss. I would have given you marks for your control points had she asked for a discussion on how it happened. Right now, my entire focus is, oh my God, how much did I lose? Going to wait another minute or so, and then I'll show you the answer, guys. I'll actually give you a few minutes to read the answer, and then I'll have a discussion. I want you to read it step by step to see that there was a logical sequence to this. Yolanda, done? Good answer. Done, Mrs. Ediki, but I will only give you this mark once. Regarding the police, that will only be 1 mark. Yup, Adil, absolutely. And you could do this through computers as well. You don't have to manually do it. Ah, good answer, Hamad. Very good answer. So Hamad is going to keep the account manager's outstanding salary and adjust it against fraud. And I'm going to give him 1 mark for that. Well played, Hamad. So a part of my recovery could be his any outstanding salary for the month. Edmund, too vague. Van Manita, please remember, these suppliers are fake. So actually look for a list of suppliers who have no statements, and that would tell you these are fake suppliers. So that's actually the answer. But Jolanda, how would you find the fake suppliers? See, step number 1 is finding the fake suppliers. Yup, Mars, if you haven't spoken about the invoices and payments before, then that's absolutely correct. Okay, Dua, that's too generic. I'm not sure if I'll give you that mark. Done, Mrs. Ediki, good answer. Yolanda, I'm sorry, I missed the link that you're talking about. What did you write in your earlier answer that you're thinking would have to work? I'm just going to try and scroll up, but that might take a bit of time. Review purchase ledger for the fake suppliers to confirm. Oh, so you've already said how the fake suppliers would be identified. Is that what you're saying? If that's what you're saying, then that's fine then. Edmund, remember, if it's a fake supplier, it is most likely not going to have a supplier statement. So you'll have to reword this a bit. Good answer, Mars. Very good answer. Good answer, Chantel. Well done. All right, guys, I want you to first take a few minutes, read these answers one by one, rather than me saying it out aloud, and see if you're okay with this. I'm just going to stay quiet for a few minutes and underline the key portions. Please read it from the very first line. There's a typing error. I'm just going to correct that. This is not a complete list, by the way. This is just a list of suggestions, right? You need to find out step by step how many supplies did he add, remember, all of them will not be fake, only some of them will be fake. So of the supplies he added, how many have the same bank account number as his own account? What were the invoices to those fake suppliers? Then add them all to find out how much the fraud was. Similarly, you could be looking at supplier statement reconciliations. If there's no supplier statement from a particular supplier, it was probably a fake one. You can match those invoices to the relevant audit trail, because if it's a genuine supplier, it would have the entire audit trail. A GRN, all the list that is there, if the audit trail is missing, then it's most probably a fake supplier. I feel the last two were the easy parts. And I liked Hamad's answer as well. If there's any payment that is due to the manager in terms of his salaries or something else, you might be able to keep that and adjust it against the fraud as well. There'll be legal aspects to this, but I'll still give you that mark. This is a very old question, but I still wanted to do this because this was slightly difficult. There's another one with the CCTV and everything, but that's an easy one. And CAFE also has a forensic part to it. So it has one control deficiency part. It has also a part which relates to quantifying how much was stolen. If you have any questions at all, please ask away. Oh, sorry, I'm just going to, I just got all the answers together. Call to identify the supplier, no. Hamad, I'm just getting your answers. Just give me a few minutes. Yep, Hamad, I'll give you that answer as well. Yep, it would be in section B. And Mars, no. There is no material. You can use whichever book you're using. But the link that I shared earlier on, it has the basic concepts. Huh? So it's a video, a 13-minute video where forensic accounting is being explained. So that would have the theoretical aspect. Guys, I have nothing else on the agenda for the day. If there are any questions, concerns, anything that you need help with, please ask away. Oh, because we need confirmation, Dua, that we did tell them to do it and they refused. So you know we have to tell them, okay, we did actually ask them and they refused. That's our evidence that they refused to do it. Van Manita, you have to look for evidence that you would find for those risky areas. So if the risk is, for example, that there would be a probable outflow and would need a provision, further information that you would need later on would be correspondence with the lawyer. If the risk is that the useful life for the assets is incorrect, further information would be the evidence that you would gather later on the useful life. So it's basically a summary version of the evidence that you'd eventually gain. So like the summed up procedures or evidence you would get later on in audit. Thank you so much, Abdullah. Bless you. So I've been told that the solved documents will be shared via email. During the rest of the time, I would please recommend that you focus on the revision kit. Any sorts of notes will not help you pass this paper. You have to focus on application of the techniques. Thank you so much, Yolanda. Maz, I try. I try and respond. I think I've responded to almost all, not almost, 100% of the emails that I've received up till now. I won't intentionally ignore yours, I promise. I might reply a bit late, but yeah. Okay, all the material is going to be available, but in case you want a specific day's one, if you could please send me an email with this in the subject and I'll reply to it with the relevant material. Vananita, this is for you, huh? So just do a path needs day for material at my email address and I'll just send you that. But it will be available to you through email anyway and it'll be sent by ACCA. Revision kit, Adil. Entire session should be, focus should be on revision kit. Thank you so much, Tuva. Super. Mrs. Adiki, please do. I'd be more than happy to help. Hamad, there is no list of important topics. This is AAA. You'll have to send me an email, guys. It will be available to you by ACCA, but you will have to send me an email so that I can reply to it. That would be amazing. It would be amazing if you can do some written practice as well. I discussed this on day one, particularly the mock exams at the end of each revision kit. It should be available in whichever country you're based in, or you can purchase it from the website. You could get it from Kaplan or BPV's website as well, or hard copies should be available at the bookshops where they sell ACCA books. Fiza, where are you based? Oh, thank you so much, Mas. Bless you. No, I don't. You just do a mock and it's marked. That's it. Get in touch with the Lahore campus, Mas. Mrs. Ediki, that might not be possible, but do it. I'll try. Did you send an email on the 4th of November regarding what? I don't have any email from you. All the emails, can you check in spam? Because if you asked for the handout that was sent, it was a very big email. Please check in spam. It might have gone over there. Because I've sent it to every single person who asked for that relevant material. Any revision kit, Fiza. You could do BPP, Kaplan, Mars. I can't say this out aloud. You know that, right? It's a huge breach of copyright. But yeah, that's one solution. No, Vicky, you're going to get it in an email from ACCA anyway. Fiza, the revision kit. Forget at this point in time, forget the textbook, forget the notes, start the revision kit. If you've just started preparation, then your entire focus has to be on the revision kit. Afan, we do have a product at Scans Lahore. So yes, you can call them for details about that. It doesn't involve any discussion, but you will be given feedback on that as well. I'm so sorry. I don't know how I missed it. I have the outbox open in front of me, my mailbox, and I can't see anything that is not read or not forwarded. Just let me know, send it again, and I'll reply to it by tomorrow. If hopefully I get it. It's a partner at Outlook, right? I'm literally just getting emails as I speak as well. So every single message on my inbox has the reply signed to it. I haven't missed out on any as per my record. Yeah, Ushba, it was all the videos are going to be available on ACCA Pakistan's official site. Ushba, I'm just going to search this for you. I think it's called CPD Box. I love the summary versions of our standards for accounting. Hang on. Sorry. So what is it called? CPD Box, I think by Sylvia. Yeah, hang on. This is the one. Yep, that's the one. Making IFRS easy, Ushpa. That's the one I was talking about. No problem. All right, guys, then thank you so much. Good luck for your exam. I hope and pray that all of you get through in December. Remember, the key to passing this paper is completing the exam. And for that, make sure you've attempted the mock exams at the end of each revision kit. Maz, I haven't received any email from you, by the way. If it's happened just now, I haven't received it. But please keep sending in the emails. I'll have a look at them sometime tomorrow. It's quite late over here over the weekend, so I'll have a look at them in the morning and reply to them. Maz, make sure you're sending it at fafnur@outlook.com. Vizas, right away. Right away. Maz received. Request to share the number of Lahore. Received, Maz. Thank you so much, Chantal. Bless you. Matthews, I've received your email as well. I'll hopefully reply to all of them tomorrow, right? Thank you so much, Edmund and everyone else. Good luck, guys. And I would love for you to tell me your result once you get it in January sometime, or is it February? Thank you and goodbye from my end, everyone. Stay safe and goodbye. Christmas.